Hi, everybody. It's Joe Cioffi, and I think I resolved my technical issues. It's one of those weird Sunday nights. The day went well, and I went fishing. I actually caught some fish today, which was really nice, but it seems like I can't get myself in order here. And there's also a very large fly that's buzzing around, so hopefully it doesn't come by here because I'm ready for it. Okay? And I got the maps up on the side, so this way I'm not struggling with anything. So I hope everybody had a great Sunday. And you should have audio. I see the audio thing line going, indicator going back and forth. So I'm thinking you're hearing me now. I like the attempt that I made just a little bit ago. So why don't we take a look at what's going on? And I'm going to start with the tropical Atlantic. And we're going to bring this guy up. I'll leave me there. And you can see the tropical Atlantic here on the satellite loop. And right here, right down in there, we have a tropical wave that is moving westward. And it looks like there's a little concentration of thunderstorms there. A little bit of curvature, a little bit of cyclonic curvature as it moves west. The Hurricane Center rates this a 30% chance of developing in the next 48 hours and only a 40% chance in the next 5 days. And the reason why is that once it gets to the islands and goes into the Eastern Caribbean, which is where it's going, conditions remain pretty hostile for tropical storm development in the Atlantic. And by the way, you can see there's also two other disturbances right behind it. We're still seeing these waves, by the way, pretty far to the south. Not unusual for this time of year, but you know, if it's still doing that when we get into August, it might be a sign that the tropical Atlantic is going to be having some difficulty in sending tropical systems across. So I'm going to go show you the water vapor imagery. Let's stretch this out a little bit, and we'll make it nice and big for everybody. And again, this is really, the water vapor imagery is so useful as a tool. If you go to nhc.noaa.gov, wait, what did I do with it? I'm not having a good day. You can tell I am not having a good day here at all. I hit it with the mouse. Where did it go? Is it there? No. Oh, well. Is it here? No. I apologize, folks. This is not my day. Bottom line is, there's a lot of dry air in the tropics. When we do this live stream again, I will show you the view here of the water vapor, and you'll see it. But it hasn't really changed that much from the last couple of days. Excuse me. Now here's Hurricane Fernanda in the Pacific. Top winds are 125 miles an hour, and it is continuing to move its way to the west, and it is also going to be weakening very soon as it starts to traverse the colder waters of the Pacific. I know it's hard to believe sometimes how cold the waters of the Pacific really are. South of 15 degrees north this time of year is probably the only place, at least this far out in the Pacific, where you can actually maintain some hurricane strength, because the waters are still kind of cold once you go toward 20 degrees north, and they really don't get much warmer going deeper into August and early September. Usually Pacific hurricanes start to weaken when they go this far out. Once they get north of 20 north, it's the waters of the Pacific just don't handle it well, and that's one of the reasons why Hawaii does not get hit with many tropical systems. Oftentimes, you know, we've seen hurricanes get out to within 500 or 600 miles of Hawaii, and then they just completely fall apart. Here's a wider view of our system, of Fernanda, and you can see where it is with respect to Hawaii. So it's still, you know, well over 1,500 miles to the east-southeast of the big island of Hawaii, and it's going to probably move west-northwestward or even northwestward, and then once it weakens to a remnant low, it'll probably start to turn back toward the west. And here's this 20 degrees north is right here where the big island is. That's the latitude of Hawaii. So uh, this I don't think is going to be any kind of problem for them at all. Now, let's take a look at what's happening as far as our own weather is concerned. So we'll go to the eastern satellite view, and we're going to punch it up. There we go. Make it nice and big for everybody. And, we've got pretty much the same story here, folks. You can see, here's a weather system that moved through a few days ago that stalled off the Atlantic coast. Here's another one near the Great Lakes. Here's yet another one that's coming into northern Minnesota. And by the way, there's been, almost nonstop shower and thunderstorm activity going on across much of the upper Midwest because they've been kind of on the edge of that upper high. And at the same time, they're on the edge of that strong jet stream that's been running from central Canada down into the Northeast. So they've been in a pretty good battle zone as far as thunderstorm development is concerned. So that is going to be probably continuing for the most part because I really don't see any kind of big pattern change anytime soon for much of the country. Still being a little messy here, folks. Sorry about that. Let me get this guy out of the way. Let's take a look at the regional radar for the Northeast. And we'll make it nice and big for you. And you can see there isn't really that much happening. Some thunderstorms. Again, a lot of thunderstorms moving across Lake Ontario through upstate New York. Now, there is probably going to be some thunderstorm risk in the Northeast tomorrow in the interior Northeast. The Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk of severe weather for parts of upstate New York. And, I kind of go along with that. I don't know if it'll be upgraded to a slight risk or not this time around. As far as what else is going on, a little thunderstorm activity in the Carolinas. And we've got some shower and thunderstorm activity this evening going on in parts of Maine. And here's our severe weather risk for today, for this evening. Can I make it bigger there? Yeah, here we go. So we've got this marginal risk from Ohio down through Indiana and Illinois. And we've got a marginal risk of severe weather up into eastern Montana and North Dakota this evening, and also down in parts of Arizona. And you see the larger area of general thunderstorm activity that is going on. So, that nothing much has really changed as far as that part of the equation is concerned. And it doesn't want to let me get rid of this. There we go. So we'll get this out. I am going to master this. And, there has to be an easier way for me to figure. I still have to figure out this software that I'm using. It's great software for streaming, but it's not the friendliest software when it comes to getting, these maps going. There's a way to prepare everything ahead of time, and then I can just kind of flip one after another, but I still haven't quite figured that out yet. But I promise you that I will. So we're going to go back to the upper air here. And I'm going to roll it back so we can take a look at what's going on. And, it's a little hard to see the dates. That's the other thing. I'm going to try and figure out a way to make this look better. But going into this coming week, first of all, I'm just bringing it up now to the present time. And here we have the end of this week. So let's just back it up. So here we go. So we have some troughing here going on in the eastern part of the United States. This is for Tuesday. It's weak. You can see there's energy that's going on up into the northern plains. And as we move through this week, yet another trough drops in next weekend into the northeast. And you still have a bit of a ridge here. That's just tries to pop up into the eastern part of the United States, but that strong jet is still there, and it continues. Now the ridge tries to flex a bit. First time in a while that we see a ridge off the southeast coast of the U.S., but then it goes back into the plains as we move through the end of the week. So end of next week. So the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, is that we really aren't going to see any real pattern change here going forward. I want to introduce you, by the way, to the parallel GFS. This is going to be the new GFS upgrade, and since the last GFS upgrade was so good, let's hope that this one is better, because the GFS has just not been doing well at all. So let's see what this has to say. And as we go forward with the parallel GFS, so here's that trough for next weekend, which will bring down a shot of dry air into the northeast again. And then that pulls out, kind of wants to do this ridge in the southeastern part of the United States. But it's an east, you notice it's east-west oriented. It's not pushed up north-south, it's east-west. So, you know, it would be hot in the southeast and into Florida with this. And I don't know if it'll be especially hot, but we still have this northwest flow from Virginia on northward, and that will continue to bring down, you know, these fronts every couple of days. And going forward, you know, there's a ridge that tries to form there in the southeast, but you know, still that troughing runs from the plains across and off the northeast coast of the United States and out into the Atlantic. One of the things I would tell you, by the way, is that if we look across the Atlantic here, you have this very narrow high pressure ridge that covers the Atlantic. It goes across the Gulf, you know, the Gulf states eastward all the way across the Atlantic. So that would say any kind of tropical systems are going to have a pretty large westerly component to them moving across. Now, whether they develop or not is another story, and at least from the standpoint of what the model's showing at this point, it does not appear that we're seeing the model develop anything. And also, with the ridge in this position, it would not, this is one of the reasons why it's not a surprise that you have all these tropical waves still pretty far to the south, because that's because of the ridge the ridge itself is further south. If the ridge were up, say, off the mid-Atlantic coast, and you had the high built up in the Azores, everything would be displaced further north, and you would see these tropical waves coming off the African coast further north. But that ridge is there, and that's going to keep these waves running down along 10 degrees north, and it's going to move them along more to the west than to the north with this east-west ridge here. So the East Coast, at least going into the rest of July and maybe the very beginning of August, seems to me that it would be protected from any kind of tropical development. So I'm going to jump now and take a look at what's on the chat, and we've got a few. So good evening to Abedin Durakovic, Anne-Marie Charlot, and yes, the audio is good. Yes, Jason Schaefer, who is one of my producers when I work at WPIX TV in New York, is on tonight, right there. Hi, Jason. David Schwartz, is there also a lot of Saharan dust in the air out in the Atlantic? Yeah, that dry air and that Saharan dust is still an issue, David Schwartz, and until it resolves itself, it's going to keep tropical systems from developing. That dry air has to get out of the way. Jason, just as you know, just to address the whole thing with the tropical waves being so far south. You know, the Atlantic ridge is further south, and that's the primary reason that the waves are coming off along 10 degrees north and southward instead of coming off, say, along 15 degrees north. Now, that might shift, by the way. You know, that may shift northward as we get into August. But right now, at least through the end of July, it looks like they're going to continue to come out pretty far to the south. William Perez, greetings back to Puerto Rico. Welcome to my channel. I really appreciate it. Addressing the issue of Hawaii, David Schwartz, Hawaii, considering how warm Hawaii is. Water temperatures around Hawaii, you know, usually they're close to the 80-degree mark. They don't get much higher than that. And also in terms of the upper air, there's always something going on out there with, you know, some kind of upper air storm that shears things apart. So they kind of have this sort of protective wall with regards to tropical systems. It's got to be an almost perfect setup for them. And they have been hit with tropical storms and hurricanes. It just does not happen very often. Raymond, they did risk it too. They raised slight risk of severe for tomorrow evening. Okay, I have not checked. Let me just take a look. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to take a look at the severe weather risk for tomorrow. And Yes, they did. They have a slight risk of severe weather for New York State, Vermont, into northeastern Pennsylvania, with a marginal risk, narrow marginal risk into northern New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, northwestern Connecticut, and western Massachusetts. So that is indeed correct. I stand corrected. Um, and yes, Jason, you can laugh at me. I appreciate that. Anne Marie Charlot from Trinidad Tobago, welcome. Oh, that's great. I love it. I got these people. I got you folks from all over the place. That's excellent. Uh, Tyre is a pattern change incoming. No, right now I don't see it. This jet from Canada continues to be pretty dominant, and at varying strengths. Some of these troughs are deeper than others, but for now, I don't see any real change in the overall pattern going into the end of July and the beginning of August. Yes, the PNA going negative but as well in the NAO. I know I'm. I was kind of looking at looking at those long-term signals. I pay so much more attention to them in the wintertime. Uh, they don't always exactly work the same way with the summer, so I don't have a lot of experience with working with the PNA, the NAO, and the EPA. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what that is, the PNA is what is referred to as the Pacific North America pattern, and it is basically, and the NAO is the North Atlantic Oscillation, and the EPO is the East Pacific Oscillation. Basically, what they are measuring pressure changes across various parts of the globe and how those pressure changes impact weather in parts of the United States. For example, when the NAO, when the North Atlantic Oscillation is negative, it means that pressures in the North Atlantic are higher, and therefore pressures are lower as you go further south into the Atlantic, and that usually favors in the wintertime cold and often snowy conditions in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. But in the summer, from what my understanding is, the NAO kind of works in reverse. Where you have a negative NAO, it means warmer than normal temperatures in the northeastern part of the United States. So, I don't work with those indices too much in the summertime. I do look at them in the spring, in the in the fall, and also in the winter, but I really don't look at them too much in the summer. Seems to me like David Schwartz seems like to me that the SAL has been growing issue over the years. Is this due to the expansion of the Sahara and global climate change? Okay, I don't know the answer to that question. The Saharan dust issue has always been there, and I think now that we have, all these incredible satellites from all over the place, and we've had them for a while, and now that we've had people been looking at this sort of stuff, they're able to make sense of things that have happened before with regards to the tropics and tropical storm development. So I don't know the answer to that question, David, with regards to the connection, if any, to global climate change. Warren Bremer likes my program. Thank you, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it very much. Okay, so you know what? We'll call it a night. I will continue to try to fine-tune my skills as far as the software is concerned. So I hope everybody had a great weekend, and I hope you have a very good week ahead. And we'll keep you abreast of all the developments, of course, and you can check out latest weather posts on my website, meteorologistjoecioffi.com. And you can also find more on my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. By the way, if you go to my Facebook page, I posted today a really rather remarkable thing that happened right here in Port Jefferson this morning. Someone who lives in the town next to me had his dogs out, and there was a deer that was in Port Jeff Harbor and was in distress, looked like a lost fawn, and his dog went out into the water and saved it. It's quite remarkable. So that video is up on my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. So if you're interested, go take a look. It's really a remarkable story and a remarkable video that was taken this morning in Port Jefferson on Long Island. So anyhow, everybody have a great rest of your night and a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh, Delvin, hi. Um, Delvin from Boston, Massachusetts. Are the clouds going to be a big deal in my area for the Northern Lights? Also, will it get to 90 again this summer? I'm sure you'll have your shot of 90. Let me just take a quick look at the eastern satellite. There doesn't look to be a lot of cloud cover around at the moment, and there's just some patchy clouds well to the west of you, so you may be clear for a little while up there in Boston. So hopefully you'll be able to get to see some of the northern lights that are supposed to occur tonight and are supposed to be visible pretty far down into the northeast. And there's that fly. All right, folks. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.